Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, Administrator, for being here. And one of the things, there are many things I appreciate about Senator Whitehouse, but when he honestly says we come from different perspectives, he's right. But I remember what you said last week about the, emission standards and energy production goals don't have to be mutually exclusive. And I agree with him. We should find more ways to capture natural gas rather than vent and flare it. There's no productive use of vented and flared natural gas. So let's work on common goals together. And I'm going to get to that in my second question. But first, Mr. Administrator, I want to raise a separate issue, and then I'll get to the methane rule and natural gas. When you were in North Dakota, and thank you again for coming out so quickly after you were sworn in to talk to farmers and ranchers and others about waters of the U.S., but you met then with our North Dakota Agriculture Commissioner, Doug Goring, about WOTUS. But earlier this year, February of this year, Commissioner Goring sent your office a letter. They're still waiting for a response on it. It was sent to the Office of Pesticides Programs, and it relates to the existing stocks of unusable chlorpyrifos. You're probably familiar with that. But anyway, last year, you guys, the EPA banned the use of this chemical, and gave farmers and retailers 6 months to dispose of it. The rule came out, I think it was in August, which means winter is coming in North Dakota. So the bottom line is farmers have a lot of this stuff on their shelves, and they're coming up on having to dispose of it. Same with retailers that have purchased this, in anticipation of the next growing season. And there's been very little to no guidance on how to dispose of it. Our state's not prepared to be able to do that. What I worry about, quite honestly, is a perverse incentive to, dispose of it improperly. If there's punitive threats in store, or use it illegally, which I certainly don't advocate. I'm just bringing it to your attention and just want to see if you could provide me some assurances that the EPA is not going to seek to punish growers who currently hold the product and work with more importantly, work with our state agencies to properly handle the disposal. And we are, even in North Dakota, the ground is thawing out now, and we're coming up on planting season. So if you could just sort of raise that to the top and get back to Commissioner Goring or me, that would be really appreciated.
And if I might add,
please.
I think, so in 2021, the court had indicated that EPA had abdicated its responsibility since 2007. And they put us on a timeline and told us that either we could prove that chlorpyrifos was not harmful at all, or we had to take the action that we took.
Right.
It was a hurdle that the agency couldn't meet. So
right.
One of the situations we find ourselves in, especially with pesticides, is because of inaction over decades, the court now is putting us on these timelines. I can commit to you that we are working, our regional office is actually working with your state now to think about how we navigate that tough terrain that we find ourselves in.
And that's what we want. We want to be part of the solution. So
yes.
I'm grateful for that. I'm going to run out of time before I get to this next issue, but I'm going to start it. I want to turn to the methane regulations and the whole of government approach that I think is necessary to meet the goals that you've laid out, and bring up something that's come up already a couple of times. Of course, is the bipartisan infrastructure bill, which provided, among several things, some regulatory streamlining for the build out of natural gas infrastructure for capturing natural gas. And in the Bakken, where we produce a lot of oil, natural gas is a byproduct of that. And so we do have some venting and flaring. Now, I've got a chart right there that we presented to you that demonstrates sort of the different goal, not the different outcomes. And the range of capture of natural gas from the Bakken oil production ranges from 56% to 94%. Now, the good news is that the state average is 93%. I'm going to make just a simple point here. The 94% is all state and private land, and the 56 to 83% is largely either tribal land or other public federal lands. My point being that we need to do better on the federal lands and the Indian lands, and that's a bureaucracy. That's what it is. You take bureaucracy and then you add another layer of bureaucracy with tribal lands, and you have lots of bureaucracy. So as we work through this, as we work through these goals, these not mutually exclusive goals that you spoke of last week, I really hope that a lot of this is BIA, or I mean, well, some BIA, but largely interior jurisdiction. But the infrastructure bill did provide the NEPA incentive. In fact, it makes NEPA, waives NEPA on federal lands where we can demonstrate a reduction of methane emission, which clearly, if you're capturing the gas, you're reducing. If you would, I just want to make sure that the whole of government's working together, that you're consulting with Interior or that they're seeking your assistance, because I think we can get to these goals that Sheldon Whitehouse and Kevin Cramer both have, that you have, and get the courts off your back and do the right thing with a product that's more valuable being used than being flared or vented.
Yes.
How's that for I almost did it under 5 minutes. At least it was under 6, Mr. Chairman.
A for effort.
I did my best, thank you. If I get an A for effort from him, it's a good day.
Well, I can assure you on
Grading on a
topic-
curve.
I can assure you on that topic, DOE, Interior, EPA, CEQ, we're all looking at all the resources that we have, our regulation, to be sure that we're going in the same direction.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks, Mr. Chairman.